In today's episode of Art of Making, wooden utensils, stylish, eco-friendly, and modern. Brush as a little panel. How shoes are made. The traditions of making wooden utensils are originated deep into centuries, having passed a long way of its existence and being in an unseen dialogue with human, utensils made of wood changed its appearance, transformed, and improved. Wood being one of the first materials, the processing of which has been mastered by man, does not lose its relevance even today. The range of its usage is very wide, from compact items and decorative elements to carved sculptures and magnificent dishes. Dishes for kumys are considered to be a model of mastering the technique of making household utensils. We will tell a story of its skilled invention, grace of form, and ornamentality.
Чтобы изготовить кумысный набор,
To make a set for kumys, I take a beech blank to make the ring of the kazan itself. This is how we cut 12 details.
Вот так нарезаем 12 частей.
12 pieces are assembled into a circle and glued together. These are the walls of the future tank. After drying, the bottom is glued to them, and the kumys bowl becomes finished. When the container is completely dried, the craftsman gives a shape on the machine, cuts the excess wood, corrects the roundness, and the dish acquires the right outlines.
Когда токарные работы уже закончены, следующим этапом будет резьба, вырезание.
When the mold-making works are finished, then the national ornament is cut. It goes like this. First, we are using pen to apply the stencil. After that, I take a special machine and start cutting.
После этого я беру специальную машинку и начинаю вырезать.
The art processing of wood is one of the traditional types of Kazakh crafts. Now the craftsman decorates the item with a contour thread with a volumetric Kazakh pattern. This is a laborious process which requires special patience. When the bowl was given expressiveness by manually processing each element of the pattern, the kumys bowl is ready for the toning. This is a separate wood treatment that makes the product more attractive, and sometimes tinting helps to hide some production defects. In our case, for color saturation, there are several stages of the intensity of painting a relief ornament. At the same time, craftsman leaves the light shade for the top part. At the next stage, the surface dried after toning, it's grinded, and then the projecting elements are illuminated, and the carving demonstrates contrast and relief. The final stage of the bowl treatment is similar to the final touch in the painting. The smooth, shining surface begins to sound perfectly. In addition, polishing serves to protect the wood from destructive external factors. These are the blanks for the legs. We will cut it off and we'll stick it to the kazan.
Мажем клеем, вот точки нанесены уже заранее.
We apply glue, points are set in advance. We grease and glue it.
И вот так приклеиваем.
After drying, the legs must be ground with large and then fine-grained paper. And then the craftsman starts to manufacture the handles, which will pass a long way of processing until they are in the place of their purpose. We only need to make a cover.
Вот это заготовка на крышку.
This is a blank of the cover. It's also made from beech. And now I will clamp it on the flank and I will sharpen it.
И будем точить. Вот такая получилась крышка.
This is the cover, and now we apply and cut a pattern. The process of making kumys bowl is quite labor-intensive, but this does not bother the craftsmen from doing their favorite work, and there is an atmosphere of creativity among machines, tools, and chips.
После того, как казан прошел все этапы подготовки, резьбы,
After the kazan has passed all stages of carving preparation, turning on the machine, it's covered with varnish. It's the final stage. It's a special varnish, suitable for wooden dishes. It doesn't contain formaldehyde and various harmful additives.
различных вредных добавок. Лакирование происходит следующим образом. Сам этап лакировки подразумевает несколько...
Lacquering also implies several parts. In other words, we first apply the primer. After that, the varnish dries for a few hours, and then 2 or 3 finishing layers are applied. The varnish is ground between the layers.
Между слоями лак шлифуется. После того, как изделие покрываешь лаком, оно проявляет настоящий цвет.
After the bowl is covered with lac, it shows a real color, and lacquering the wood is the most beautiful stage in the production of this dish.
Этой посуды. Дерево просыпается.
The manufacturing of wooden dishes is fascinating. Probably therefore today the popularity of dishes from valuable species of wood is quite justified. The advantage of such dishes, in addition to environmental friendliness, is the healing properties, its strength, as well as zero thermal conductivity, which allows food to stay hot longer. Already tasty kumys in such dishes acquires a special taste. It's no accident that our ancestors preferred to consume a noble drink from it. The set of utensils includes kumys bowl, 12 piala, and a ladle. A special style of performance gives it stylistic and aesthetic final touch, which perfectly emphasizes national identity. Brooch is definitely the queen of jewelry, an attribute of luxury, wealth, and refined taste. Whatever dress style we choose, it should have an idea that expresses our mood, individuality, and inner world. The brooch will give an elegance to the casual outfit and glitter to the best outfit. It serves for this purpose. The artist-designer Aigerim K is sure about it. Her work is always full of national ideas combined with modern techniques and new materials. It's quite easy to make my brooches from unavailable materials in a mass production. The whole secret is only in its presentation and illustration, in the image that I create.
На самом деле материалы достаточно доступные.
Due to this, the brooch becomes even more attractive. In fact, the material is quite affordable. At the beginning, we cut a contour of the brooch with the help of a sewing machine. Then my image is printed and is covered with epoxy resin on top. The needle is glued on the back side. That's all. The whole process of its
Для меня было принципиально оставить именно иллюстративность именно этой брошки.
It was important for me to use these very images. I mean, not embroider it, not draw on it, not making it out of a metal, because everything gets lost. I found an option to make it out of a simple material. Then we cover it with polish, and the brush will look interesting and unusual. This is how the idea of making brushes was born.
Вот так вот родилась эта идея делать брошки.
For example, if a girl is given a painting, she will be happy and hanging on the wall. But when she goes outside, she won't take my work with her, but she'll pin it and it will be a decoration. It will give her some highlight. That pleases me.
Вариантов создания брошки.
There are so many options of creating a brush.
Вышивать.
They can be molded, embroidered, pottery-based. Today we will be making it in a semi-production way. We will take a blank made in advance in the workshop. It is plywood. Cut through along the outlines. Some elements are engraved here. And now we'll be painting it.
Выгравированы некоторые элементы, и мы ее будем расписывать. Это у нас, грубо говоря, маленькая деревяшечка, на которую краска сразу не ляжет.
Loosely speaking, it's a small piece of wood on which paint will not spread immediately, so we need to prepare it. We will take acrylic paint, we will use some primer, so that it absorbs, then the color layer will spread down normally.
Не впитывалась. Поэтому подготовка – это грунтовка. В данном случае мы возьмем акриловые краски.
In this case, we will take simple acrylic paints. They are suitable for painting on wood. They are convenient to work with because they are moisture resistant. Here, already every artist chooses the most suitable brush to use.
Большинство моих работ, они имеют национальный колорит.
Yes, most of my works have a national color. They reflect our culture, mix of cultures of Turkic nations. I thought about the reasons why is it so, because I'm deeply interested in our culture, the origins of it.
Бесконечно интересно вообще наша культура, истоки ее. Мне хотелось сделать что-то необычное, что-то
I wanted to make something unusual, non-standard, maybe ridiculous and funny, perhaps. I think that's hard to combine with clothes. People are not used to decorate themselves with it. I wanted to cause some kind of amazement.
чтобы это вызвало какое-то изумление. Пришел образ, что это должна быть пиалушка. Почему он ко мне пришел? Потому что у меня есть вот это моя.
I came up with the image that it should be a tea bowl. I have one on my desk. And I looked at it and thought that this image might get quite a deep sense on a thing as simple as my brush.
Он может стать образом с достаточно глубоким смыслом, в принципе, на такой простой вещичке, как моя брошка.
This is such a collective image of the Kazakh soul, because all Kazakhs like to drink tea with milk, and that makes some sense.
Следующий этап создания брошки.
The next stage of creating a brush is drawing it. Give it a color, draw details.
Прорисовываем детали.
If you're comfortable with a template, you can use it. If you want to add some decorative items, you can stick crystals and beads. It's an absolutely creative process. There is no limits and no restrictions.
Вот, поэтому здесь нету рамок и ограничений. Акриловая краска высыхает на самом деле.
Acrylic paint dries very quickly. It's good, but at the same time it's dangerous. Therefore, it's necessary to work layer by layer.
Послойно. На самом деле можно покрыть лаком.
You can actually cover it with varnish or white glue, and you cannot fix it with anything, because nothing can happen to the acrylic paint while it's drying.
Это краска, которая при высыхании все, с ней ничего не будет.
Since it's handmade, you can use your imagination as much as possible. There's no special rule here. That's how the artist feels it and reflects it on the canvas. But in our case, it's a very small canvas. The The first findings of metal products similar to brushes date to the Bronze Age. An item made of metal bent into a ring or an arc with a thick needle attached, fastening fabric, have been called fibula. The story of the triumph of the brush as a decoration is as romantic and interesting as the brush itself.
Был такой Людовик XIII, у него была фаворитка, и в то время было принято украшать свои платья.
There was Louis XIII. He had a favorite. At that time, it was common to decorate dresses with beautiful bows and ribbons, and the process of putting it on took too much time. In order to save time, favorite decided to put this bow on a needle, not to waste time and quickly decorate the dress. It found a great response among the fashion girls of the royal court, and this is how the brush was born. The brush was also a way of communicating between lovers.
И так вот брошка она и родилась.
From ancient times in the national Kazakh clothes, tana is used. It's a decorative plaque with the image of birds and fish, as well as brooms, buttons, and kapsırma, a fastener consisting of two parts. Such a fastener tightens the side of the kamzol in the waist. Sometimes several fasteners are placed for the vertical decoration.
Если я просто вижу в интернете какие-то подборки, не знаю,
If I see any collections of Saka culture on the internet, it just blows my mind from a misunderstanding of how people could create something flexible and stylistic. This is hard to take in.
Мне просто это как бы в голове не укладывается, потому что это...
Because it's a culture of the faraway past. The further away from the present day, the more it seems to be brilliant.
От наших дней, тем оно какое-то колоссально гениальное. И я это сейчас понимаю, потому что когда я ежедневно рисую, я сама художник, дизайнер, да, и когда я не могу...
And I understand that now when I draw everything, I'm an artist and designer. And when I can't just draw some details, I need to go online to see something so I can have some image. And I understand that these people had no internet.
И откуда у них рождался, откуда их руками творились...
And I don't know where did they get it from, how they could create such masterpieces of jewelry, weaving art, clothing with their hands.
И поэтому для меня это какой-то вообще бездонный космос. То, что я рисую, это какой-то просто какой-то...
That's why it is limitless space for me. What I'm drawing is just a little piece, an echo. You can reach it when you see this culture.
Когда видишь вот эти вот культуры. Мне хочется постоянно рисовать эти орнаменты.
I want constantly to draw these ornaments. This is my recent work in oil. I very rarely paint it in oil. Now because there is no opportunity for that. But when I paint, I get something like this. I just wish there were ornaments. I'm not sure if I'm going to get tired of it.
Орнаменты. Не знаю, когда я от этого устану. Есть еще вторая часть меня, которая интересна современная жизнь, социальные. У меня есть в голове социальные сюжеты.
There is still the second part of me. I'm interested in modern life. I have social stories in my head. But when there is a time when my kids are sleeping, I just want to sit down and draw such ornaments. This is my love of culture in the global Tengrian sense. And I want to try to repeat it just a little bit. However, it's impossible.
Хоть немножко, на какую-то капельку пытаться что-то повторить, хотя это невозможно.
It's difficult to imagine our lives without shoes protecting us from cold and slippery roads, from hot asphalt and dusty paths. On average, a person passes 10,000 steps per day, or about 8 kilometers. How footwear is made, who invented high-heeled shoes. You will learn about this in our today's episode. Today we will introduce you to the work of the Shoe Factory. This company, which produces 500,000 pairs of shoes per year, was created in 2011. Now it works quite successfully, develops new models, the number of which is more than 70. Shoe production begins with the work of designers. They sketch, design models, shapes, select colors, and other features. Once the shoe model is ready, it's monitored and tested. Accordingly, after amendments and additions, after approval of the Special Expert Council, shoes are sent directly for manufacturing. The first stage starts with a cutting shop, namely hydraulic pressing of material for shoes. Those who work in the shop should know the geometry well to cut the material correctly. According to archaeologists, the first shoes appeared in the west of Eurasia during the Paleolithic era. For its manufacturing, animal skins, oak bark and cane were used. An insole was made of different herbs and plants. Until the 19th century, shoes were sewn on a solid sole, and the right and left side were no different. Shoes on heels were invented not by men of fashion and dandies of the old world, as it could be assumed, but by Mongol riders. Their goal was very practical. The heel was needed so that the foot would not slip out of the strand while riding. Later, high-heeled shoes began to be worn by European public servants, demonstrating their position and superiority before the others. During archaeological excavations, shoes made of leather and wool were found. Its origin scientists refer to tribes that lived in the 5th century BC in the Altai regions. Women's shoes were decorated with yarn, copper, or gold. Such types of footwear were popular among Kazakhs: kibis, messe, saltama, baylak, shokhay. In old times, if it was necessary to make shoes for the whole family, the shoemaker spent several months at a client's home. People greatly honored the masters of this craft. Today, shoe production is fully automated. This makes it possible to improve the quality of the process and significantly save time. Pieces of the upper part of shoes are assembled in the blank shop. For this purpose, thread and glue stitches are used. Then the semi-finished shoes are sent to the foundry shop. Here, specialists, with the help of special equipment, attach a sole made of polyurethane, which has high strength, resistance to weather conditions, mechanical and chemical effects. The shoes we wear daily, after a continuous process in the factory, get to the shelves of the shops. And here we will give a little advice. It's better to buy shoes in the afternoon, so you definitely will not make a mistake with the size you need, since after lunch, most often, humans' legs swell a little. Eastern philosophers said that it's necessary to carefully choose shoes because it gives you the opportunity to visit the most beautiful places.